Hi there. Welcome to the Delightful Discussions Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much to everyone who has already been on and commenting. You guys were ready for this, so we are going to dive right in. My name is Mariah Young. I am the First Impressions Director with the 48 Days DISC team, and a part of my function is getting to know and learn about business owners and leaders. In doing that, I have met some amazing people. Now, I just shared this with my guest that she is actually the reason that the Delightful Discussions started. I was thinking about it. I had been meeting amazing people, and I had the chance to get to share DISC and so many things with these companies. And I thought, I need to share these companies with other people, what they're doing, what they're teaching. And I have to tell you, I talked with Sally, and that was it. I said, we have to do this. It has to happen now. So Sally was the reason for Delightful Discussions. And then with further talking and hearing her knowledge and clear ability to share the DISC, I knew, okay, it's time to do a lunch and learn. So this is our first lunch and learn. I'm super excited to share her with you. And let me just give you a little bit of information about Sally right before I pull her up. So Sally has over 20 years of experience in management and leadership. She is a consultant and management trainer for over 20 years. She's a certified PCC coach from International Coach Federation and a certified professional in talent development. So guys, when I say you want to listen to what she says, believe me, you do. She's also going to be sharing about a training that she has coming up, and the link is in our description, and you can actually earn continual education credits for that. So definitely check that out. Without further ado, I bring to you Sally Klauss. Yay!
Thank you,
Sally.
Thank you. It's great to be here with everyone. Good to see you.
Yes.
So today I'd like to share with you 3 ways that I use the DISC profile. So according to Google, there's thousands of personality assessments available to use. So why use the DISC assessment? Well, the DISC is intuitive, it's simple, and it's effective. You could think of the DISC as your own personal secret decoder ring. The DISC can help you easily improve your communication, understanding others, and building trust and rapport. So take a minute and think about the impact you could have if you were able to improve just one of these areas. I'll give you a minute to type in the comments section.
Oh, okay. This is not coming up, so I can't show it. But Sally, we do have John coming at us from the Mighty Networks, and he is sharing that he believes that if he could improve in his communication, it would help him both with his job and his spouse.
Nice. Yes, I hear that a lot. There is not just one area where the DISC can help you, because it really helps you understand how you operate, which gives you access to different ways of being, whether it's in your personal or professional life. So that's great. Thank you, John. So let's review the DISC so that you can see why it is such an effective tool. So to start off with, there's no good or bad style. What's important is that you are not living or working in an environment that creates a conflict for you to be in your natural style. So we are all a combination of the styles, and usually one of the 4 styles will be higher than the others. This is called your dominant style. So I'm going to cover the classic characteristics for each of the 4 styles so that you have a good reference point. So starting off, the D stands for dominance. People with a high D orientation are direct, results focused, fast paced, competitive, bottom line type of people. You could think of a high level sales job, entrepreneurs, or even a CEO of a company. The I is for influence. People with a high I orientation are enthusiastic, sociable, fast paced, talkative people. They are the cheerleaders among us. Think of entertainers, actors, salespeople, and often your very own HR manager. The S stands for steadiness. People with a high S orientation are the helpers, the volunteers. They are the quintessential team player. Think of that person that you know that will always chip in and help and never wants to rock the boat. Lastly, the C is for conscientiousness, also called compliant. People with the high C orientation are quality, accuracy, and detail-oriented people. Think of an accountant, researcher, doctor, or IT people. Think about that person you know that believes you can never have enough data before you have to make a decision. So each style has something in common with the adjacent styles. So each style is oriented towards being active, fast-paced, assertive, or more thoughtful, moderately paced, and calm. So you can see that the D's and the I's are more outgoing, talkative, take action type of people. They are the doers. Whereas the C's and the S's are more reserved. They are the thinkers. Each style also has a people or task orientation. For example, the I's and the S's are more people oriented and interested in building relationships, where the D's and the C's are more task oriented and interested in getting things done. The styles that are the complete opposite because they do not share an adjacent orientation will have the most difficulty understanding each other. For example, the D's and the S's and the I's and the C's. You're going to have to work a little bit harder when communicating with these folks, but you can follow this technique I'm going to provide. So to improve understanding with others, practice shifting your communication style to be more in line with the other person's style and preference. For example, a high C talking to their high D boss. These two share the task orientation, but still conflict in the way that they communicate. The high C's natural style is to want to talk about all the details of a situation and get into the weeds, which will make the high D frustrated and impatient because the D just wants to hear the bottom line. The C can shift their natural style of communicating in a way that aligns more with the D style and just give them the bottom line response. Believe me, if the D wants more information, they'll tell you. So we're not trying to manipulate others when we're communicating with this in mind. We are just thinking about the preferences and needs of others instead of simply defaulting to what's easy for us and the things that suit us. So I'm going to stop here for a minute and see if there's any questions or comments before we move on.
Well, this isn't a question, but Angela Chatham does say hello.
Oh, hello. Nice.
And we actually, again, I'm sorry, but some of the comments don't show up here, but we do have another question, and that's from Tom. And he actually is asking if he works with a high D boss and he thinks he's a C, what are some ways that he can communicate better with his boss?
That's a great question. And you always want to recognize the tendencies of that person, which it's great that you're doing that. So as the example that I just gave, our tendency as a C is to think that more detail is better. But when you're dealing with a D, they're really not interested in that. They're leaving that to the people that deal with the details. So you want to be able to make sure that you're not talking too long or getting into too much detail. And you'll notice it because the Ds will usually cut you off. They will say things like, get to the point, bottom line it for me. So what's the result? So take a clue that you're losing them. And what's important about the DISC is it helps you recognize these things with the goal of being able to be more effective. Because you're not effective if your boss thinks that you're not answering in a way that like they really need you to answer it, right? So recognizing how to shift your communication is absolutely key to being perceived more effective and to actually being more effective because it's landing on that person. I hope that answers the question fully.
So good. We do have another question, but I believe it will be best at the end. So I will
All right.
ask that then.
All right. Thank you. So I'll continue on here. So I use the DISC assessment in my management coaching work. I use it for interviewing, which is a really great screening tool. And I also use it in my coaching practice. But the example that I'm going to share with you today is how I use the DISC for leadership and management training that I do. So one of the hallmarks of leadership is self-awareness, being able to recognize your impact on others. The DISC includes a feature to increase self-awareness by helping you to identify what the DISC calls our blind spots to our success. So an example of a blind spot could simply be something like not taking the time to listen to others because you don't think they know as much as you do about a particular situation. So the DISC can help you recognize opportunities to shift, not just your communication style, like we discussed previous with the C and the D, but to also shift your behavior to meet the needs of a situation. So what's great about this concept is that it doesn't have to be easy and it doesn't have to come natural for you to shift your style. I'll give you an example. I am not a huge fan of attending work dinners or events, but it's important to me to have a good working relationship with my peers. So even though my natural response would be to not go, the measure of success is meeting the need for the situation. In this case, I focus on how important it is for me to have a good working relationship with my peers. That makes it easier for me, even if it's not my natural inclination. This is how we overcome our own barriers to success. So in closing, I just want to mention that we're all a mix of the styles. There is no good style or bad style. There are only environments that conflict with your natural style, and that creates the problems. Learn to flex your communication style to meet your audience, like we talked with the C and the D. And learn to flex your behavior to meet the needs of a situation. like going to those work events that you might not like if you're a high C. And just a reminder that D's and I's need to have C's and S's around them. And C's and S's definitely need to have D's and I's around them. So now I'd like to open it up to questions in the remaining time that we have.
Yeah. So I did have a really great one. Again, Jeff from Mighty Networks is asking what he actually works with interns, he says, shares, and he is wondering if there are particular things that he can use in the DISC to help him with knowing like which jobs are correct for those interns, and how can he use DISC for that?
Great, excellent. Yeah, and that's why DISC is so good for interviewing too, because what it does is it evaluates and shows you what your natural inclination is. And we all have strengths and weaknesses as any one of those styles. What you're looking for is being able to determine what type of a job is it, whether it's an intern or a paid position, what type of a job is it? What does it require? Right. So you're not going to change someone's personality for a job. They're going to eventually not fit in the job. So what we like using the DISC for is being able to determine, like, if someone's really shy and they're a high C or a high S and they're interviewing, they might be able to get past the people being able to recognize, maybe they're really shy and quiet, and they might think that isn't going to be a good fit for the position, but it would show up in that DISC assessment. So that's why it's good to use it as a screening. I mean, it's not perfect, so please don't discriminate against people, but it does validate something that you probably have seen, and you do want to have it align with the position that you're interviewing for. So with the interns, it could be used to, validate what you're trying to hire for. Like if it's a bookkeeping position or accounting or IT, that doesn't mean D's and I's couldn't be good at that, but you're going to see that in the C's, because that's the type of work that they're good at. They like it. They have an inclination for it. But I wouldn't not hire someone because that, but you do want to use it to validate what you already think. It also is a way, if there's a lot of interns, let's say you have 5 interns now and you've never done that before, never used the DISC to screen, and you've already hired these people, you could do it as a team building. People use that a lot. So have everybody do their DISC profile and then talk about how well they communicate. A lot of times what it does is it brings out, one of the points I talked about is understanding others. And a lot of times it'll bring out that understanding that, oh, they're a high I. I thought they just talked all the time just to irritate me. Or they start to appreciate the different styles, and other people recognize that. And so it becomes easier to work together, and it becomes an awareness that everybody has. So everybody's on the same page with it. So it's used really well in really trying to verify and validate that you have a good fit, personality fit, and competency fit for a position, which is really good because interviews can be kind of misleading. At times, people can interview really well and not be a good fit for the position. I hope that answers the question.
I think that's really great. And I know that we do have several people, so I'm thankful for that question, who do deal with interns on a regular basis, that actually said they were attending today. So whether they see this or the replay, they'll love that answer.
Nice.
I do also see we have a few coaches on here. Yeah. Can I ask you 2 questions?
Yeah.
kind of about that, kind of not. But I actually feel like it's important. I feel like a lot of people might see you and be like, well, yeah, but you just know all this information, Sally.
Mm,
You've been doing this for a long
mm.
time. First, and your personality is the right personality for coaching. Can you share with us what your disc is? And then can you share how many personalities could use the disc and use that for their coaching or consulting? And then
Yeah,
let's make sure you share about your training coming up too. I think that goes
sure.
with that.
Okay, so my disc profile is high C, high S. I'm a combo. And just to make it clear, your personality is pretty much set by the time you're about 14. It's not like you're going to take it and you're going to change it. The way to do it right is to pick one part of your life and take the assessment based on that situation, so you don't have a mix answering it how you would handle it, things at home and how you would handle things at work. So that's a key point I tell my clients. The way that I use it for coaching, and I love that question, coaches out there know, and managers too do a lot of coaching. You know that you have to be able to have rapport with someone. Otherwise, it's not sustainable for you to coach them because they're always on guard.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to build trust and rapport quickly for coaching is important. And so the way I've used it is to, again, kind of screen for, is my client a high I? And if so, how do I speak and communicate and work with someone that's complete opposite of me, right? Because my style is going to be what's comfortable for me. But if I'm going to miss the mark with this high I client, I'm not going to be able to help them. They probably won't stay with me for very long because they won't feel like I get them. So what I do is tune into that. Okay, this is a high I, high D. I can't drone on and on about details because I'm going to lose them. High I's also get kind of bored of things. They get real enthusiastic and then they lose interest in something and they want to move on to something else that's shiny. So you have to be able to meet the moment, and you have to be able to meet the needs of your client. And again, it's not about manipulating them. It's about recognizing, who is my audience? Who is my client? What do they need from me? And I can shift my style to be more like an I, right? Because I know how important it is, and because I need to be able to do it so that my communication is landing on them and they hear me, and then they know that I hear them. Mm-hmm. So it's important to be able to do that. And just knowing that you're opposite, let's say, is an important distinction, because you're going to behave differently. You're going to communicate differently. Mm-hmm. Yourself, but be sensitive to the fact that your message is going to come across more if it's tailored to how that person is oriented. Mm-hmm. So with the high I's, they want to have fun. They're talkative. You have to listen to them, and they talk a lot, but you do have to listen to them so that they feel like you're acknowledging them. But they love coaching. So you will get a lot of high I clients. So it's just a matter of being familiar with the basic characteristics of those 4 styles. Mm-hmm. And then I send my client a disc profile, and I tell them what it's for, and I tell them why we're going to do it. And then we do other things where we agree on how we're going to communicate and this and that. But that will help you get such a leg up on what their style is, what's important to them, instead of having to go through months of trial and error trying to figure out, are they an introvert? Are they an extrovert? Are they a thinker? Are they a doer? And because everybody's got a mix. Mm-hmm. So you want to be able to cut to that destination quicker. And that's what I love about the disc for coaching. So it's a really, really effective tool.
I love that. I think it's so good. And I love it's so clear when you speak. You are a very clear, concise coach, consultant, leadership training. Um, can you share with us? And I think I'll go ahead and switch over to your contact you slide and remind people that your information is in the description. We have a direct link to your training coming up. Can you share with us what that training is and who it is for?
Sure. So I teach quite a few classes online. Um, love management training, leadership training. My expertise in management and leadership training is primarily around performance management, turning around a non-performer. I have what I like to call make management simple. I have a lot of tools and a lot of models and structures that I've built that are real simple, but really, really effective. And the goal for me is to be able to help managers and supervisors with really, really complex problems. And it's almost always about people not doing their job. And you don't know how to address it without it feeling really, really hard and very much a conflict. What if I make it worse? What if I get in trouble because I say the wrong thing? I'm just trying to correct their behavior, their performance. And so I kind of take all that off the table because it's like, it doesn't matter. Use this technique or use this model. And I mean, it's overwhelmingly people comment on how simple it is and how easy it is. And it, doesn't hurt, which is what is important. Because if it's painful, you won't do it. Or you won't do it more than once. So I try to make it easy enough that you'll use the techniques so that you can get a better result. Not that it's easy, but that I make it easy enough to make that not such a big barrier. But performance management is really my area of expertise, and which is a big part of management and leadership, trying to get people to do their job, create a high performing team, and create engagement within the team that you have. So I've inherited a lot of teams along the way in my career, and always had to, start with making it a cohesive team, making them all everybody on the same page with wanting the same things. We want a performance environment. We want people that can rely on each other. We want people that are not only self-motivated, but they're self-directed because there's clear expectations and they know that I'll hold them accountable to those expectations. And that's what makes it simple, because then the team manages their own performance. And that's what I go for. So I teach a management leadership course. I teach a DISC course, and I teach a management boot camp course, and I teach a conflict management course. So those are my 4 courses that I have online right now.
Awesome. And which one is your next one coming up?
Actually, I teach all 4 of them at the same time.
Oh, okay, great.
Every quarter. So you can catch any one of them going on right now.
Awesome. Yes. And that is what we've linked to. So if you guys are interested and you are thinking you need to include Sally as your coach to learn and be trained and understand this much better, you're definitely going to want to check her out. All right, Sally, did you have anything else that you wanted to share before we wrap up?
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for your interaction, and recognize that your style is uniquely your own. Don't try to be something that you're not. Just make sure that the way you are operating and living and working within the confines of that it doesn't create a conflict for you to be who you are. So that's when we know it's time to leave and get a different job or such. But really embrace the style that you are, because everyone has skills and abilities within their own style. That's important.
So good. So good. Well, thank you for joining us today, Sally. And thank you guys for joining us. You can catch this obviously on the replay. This will also be being sent out to several newsletters. So if you catch it on that, Please make sure you share with us where you've come from. Feel free to ask questions. And of course, I will be sending those to Sally as they come. And I'm sure she will be happy to answer those, and do sign up for that training. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have a great-
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.